Our series begins with our heroine, Sion, getting off the school bus while talking to her mother, telling her to prepare the food because she's about to arrive home. But at that very moment, there's already a criminal inside her house who unfortunately manages to end the lives of her father and mother. When he sees her message to her mother, he decides to clean the place up before their daughter arrives. But our heroine is walking a little faster than usual, so she gets home and finds him holding her mother's body. She's struck with shock, her body paralyzed from fear, and the criminal moves closer to her, intending to harm her. But suddenly, the heroine snaps out of it and runs off, with the criminal chasing her down. She makes it to the street but gets into an accident, hitting her head. The last thing she sees is the criminal holding the school pin with her name on it before she passes out. Then the male lead appears, calling his sister to check up on her. Her name is also Sion, the same as the heroine. She tells him she had a small accident and is going to the hospital. He decides to go see her because he loves her and worries about her. When he arrives, he bumps into a doctor by accident, noticing bloodstains on him. The male lead apologizes and goes to his sister's room, bringing food for her, insisting she eat. But then comes the shock. He finds her murdered. He holds her, crying in disbelief. It turns out the criminal mistook her for our heroine, the one who had witnessed him kill her parents, so he came to finish her off as well, leaving no witnesses behind. A week later, a police investigator discovers the heroine's family's bodies near the sea. Upon examining them, he finds barcodes on their hands similar to other serial killings that had been occurring. Since their daughter had witnessed the murder, things took a different turn. After 192 days, the heroine finally wakes up in the hospital from her coma. Her right eye has changed, and she starts seeing strange things that frighten her, not understanding what's happening to her. The investigator and the nurses come in, trying to calm her down. We learn she has lost her memory due to the accident. She remembers nothing about her life, not even her name. Later, we discover that the investigator pretended to be her father, resigned from his job, and raised her under the name Reem, the same as his deceased daughter, to protect her. He even gave her special lenses to hide the strange color of her eyes. 6 months later, we see the heroine living a normal life with the investigator. She goes back to school. One day, in an ice cream shop, she sees a woman searching for her wallet. The heroine notices that the employee has stolen it. She confronts him, forcing him to return it and threatening to expose him if he doesn't. Later, we see the male lead, who has now become a police officer because he's determined to catch the criminal who killed his sister. We also learn that he developed a disease that prevents him from feeling pain. It started after his sister's incident. He can eat or drink anything, whether boiling hot or freezing cold, without reacting, as if he feels nothing. While chasing a thief one day, he ends up colliding with the heroine's car. The thief gets into her car to escape, and the male lead takes the chance to jump in too, recklessly driving and crashing into anything in his way. The heroine, terrified, sits beside him, begging him to stop the chase and get out of the car, but the male lead flashes his badge and tells her if the thief escapes, he'll arrest her instead. Scared, she gives in and even helps him, following the thief's scent and guiding him. At first, the male lead doesn't believe her, but then she correctly tells him the thief had robbed a women's salon, shocking him with her accuracy. She follows the thief's steps until she realizes he went up to the 4th floor in an elevator. She leads the male lead to the sauna's locker room where the thief is hiding. He arrests him and hands him over to his colleague. The heroine insists on taking the male lead to the hospital to check on him after she hit him. There, the doctor tells her that if any normal person had been in that accident, they would have been screaming from the pain. That's when the heroine learns about his condition. As they leave, they bump into the same doctor the male lead saw the day his sister died, but he doesn't recognize him. The doctor, however, stares at them suspiciously, as if he knows them. Later, the two go out together, and the male lead asks her how she managed to help him catch the thief. Nervous, she makes excuses, claiming it was just luck. While having coffee, she burns her mouth because it's too hot, remembering what the doctor had said about the male lead's illness. When they leave, one of the heroine's friends recognizes her and calls her by her real name. The male lead is shocked to hear it, realizing it's the same as his sister's. But since the heroine lost her memory, she insists her friend is mistaken and that she's confusing her with someone else. Afterwards, the male lead returns to the station, meeting with his superior. He begs to join the investigation team to catch his sister's killer. At first, his boss refuses, but eventually gives him a chance, handing him a case file and telling him if he can catch the criminal in 10 days, he'll let him in. The male lead is overjoyed and promises to deliver. Later, while eating in a restaurant, he gets a message from the heroine asking to meet so he can pay for the damage he caused to her car. She doesn't want them both to get into trouble. When they meet, their conversation deepens, and he learns about her ability to sense smells. For her, it's a power. She can see what's happening, what will happen, and places or people through their sense. At first, he doesn't believe her, so he tests her by hiding in a bathroom stall, asking her to find him. She follows the scent of his food and tracks him down. Surprised, he tells her she's like a police dog. Amused by the comparison, he decides to take her on as a partner in the serial killer case. She explains that the killer murders once every 12 months, branding a barcode on his victims' hands. She shows them pictures of the victims, pointing out the common link. The criminal kidnaps them for 6 days, killing them on the 7th. She then presents photos of 2 missing people, suspecting the killer has them, one of whom is a famous model named Marie. She insists they must find her before the 7th day. The male lead asks his superior to let him join the special team, and though reluctant, he agrees due to a shortage of investigators. Taking advantage of the chance, the male lead and the heroine visit the victim's home, where she senses Marie's scent. Outside, she traces Marie's scent to a young man in a suit. The male lead attacks him, almost breaking his arm, demanding to know about Marie. But investigators arrive and stop him, revealing the man is John, a famous chef and Marie's friend, who had just returned from America. The male lead is questioned on how he knew about John's link to Marie, but he can't answer without revealing the heroine's ability. That night, 2 people driving a car crash into another parked car, pushing it into the river. The police captain finds it suspicious because it's already the 8th day. The male lead and the heroine go to investigate. She smells fresh water mixed with the scent of a dog, leading them to conclude that Marie's car was pushed into the river and her dog was used as bait to lure her. They find broken glass and Marie's scent by the river. As the heroine slips and nearly falls into the river, the male lead catches her, holding her close. Embarrassed, she pulls away, but in the process her lens falls, exposing her real eye color. Angry, she scolds him. Meanwhile, the police are searching the wrong area near the mountains. The male lead calls them to the river. They arrive, pulling Marie's car out, finding her inside, dead. The investigators are stunned that the male lead managed to locate her body on his own. The captain confirms it's part of the serial killings when she sees the barcode on Marie's hand, forming a special investigation team with the male lead included. Later, the captain meets with the police investigator who raised the heroine. It's revealed they were colleagues before he resigned. She asks for the heroine's help, since she's the only one who saw the killer, but he lies, saying she died in her coma, all to protect her because he now considers her his daughter. The male lead then investigates Marie's doctor, suspicious because he had called her multiple times before her disappearance. The doctor turns out to be the same one the male lead bumped into the day his sister died, but the doctor claims he has an alibi, having been traveling on an island during that period. John is also there, saying he was the one who introduced Marie to the doctor and vouching for his character. The male lead thanks them but notices something odd, the heroine's broken glasses. He goes to replace them, only to realize they were fake, cheap glasses with no real function. Laughing to himself, he calls her pathetic for crying over such cheap glasses, but then decides to surprise her by buying her an authentic, expensive pair instead. Later, when they meet for dinner, he playfully teases her, eating all the hot food while she can barely handle it. He then surprises her with the new glasses, first handing her the broken pair as a joke. She gets upset, thinking he's mocking her, but then he pulls out the real original glasses. She's overjoyed, especially when she realizes they're genuine. Suddenly, her contact lens falls out, exposing her real eye color. A child in the restaurant sees her and, frightened, calls her a monster. Embarrassed, she rushes out, but the male lead follows, holding her hands, telling her there's nothing to be ashamed of, that she looks beautiful. Touched, she's moved by his words. They walk together, and she opens up about her life, telling him about his sister's death, her name being Cyan, and how after the shock he went into a coma, only to wake up having lost all feeling of pain. The heroine feels relieved, seeing they share similarities, which gives her more confidence in herself. The next day, the heroine visits the morgue with John to identify Marie's body. When John sees her, he collapses in tears, devastated. The male lead comforts him and takes him outside. The doctor arrives, revealing that a key was found in Marie's belongings. They go to her home, discovering it belongs to a box with the victim's diary inside, and they realized then that she had swallowed it because she had written the killer's name in her diary. But when they opened the box, they found it empty. And when they asked her friend if anyone had entered the house, she said that John's girlfriend was the only one. They call the hero and ask him to confront John. When the hero goes to him, he finds him burning Mary's clothes. When he asks him why he's doing that, John says that they were always fighting, and that was when she wore them, so he decided to get rid of her. The hero asks him if he saw Mary's diary, but John denies knowing anything about it. At that time, the heroine has a scene in the theater. She had agreed with the hero to act with her, but he was late, and the troupe director decides to fire her and tells the actors to cut ties with her. When the hero arrives, he finds her drinking and upset. He apologizes to her and tries to sober her up, but she wasn't conscious, so he carries her on his back to take her home. But on the way, the captain calls him, and he is forced to go to the station, taking the heroine with him. There, the captain sees her and mistakes her for a witness in the serial murder case. But the hero tells her that she is Reem's friend, and he lays her on the couch and covers her with his jacket. The captain realizes she was wrong because the witness's name was Sion. The next day, the heroine wakes up and finds the investigators standing in front of her, asking why she's there. The investigators are surprised and ask her the same question. She starts to remember what happened the night before and leaves upset. The hero follows her and gives her the violin she had forgotten. She gets angry at him because he didn't show up at the agreed time, hits him, and tells him it's good he doesn't feel pain or have a heart, and that she doesn't want to see him again. She leaves crying. The hero feels guilty and goes to see the troupe director. He asks him to take her back into the troupe and challenges the director that if he can make him laugh, he'll let her return. The actors leave the office saying no one in the troupe has ever made him laugh before, but they are shocked when the director comes out laughing uncontrollably. After that, the director calls the heroine and tells her he agrees to let her return, but only if the hero acts with her. She is forced to go to him to make peace and apologize for her harsh words. He accepts her apology easily, and they go eat together. But something happens there. The heroine takes advantage of the fact that he can't taste food and pours a lot of chili into his dish. But the hero notices and switches plates without her realizing, so her prank backfires. She ends up screaming from the chili, almost breathing fire. The hero is delighted that he got revenge. Later, the investigators find the body of a sports coach, dead, with the same barcode on his hand. But the captain suspects it's not the killer's doing since not 12 months have passed yet. She asks the hero to investigate the case himself. When he talks with the heroine, she tells him that when she saw the body, his clothes smelled like barbecue. He goes to the restaurant and asks the owner if the victim had eaten there. The moment she sees the picture, she recognizes him and says, yes, he was there, had a barbecue, and was with a colleague. The hero goes to the place where he worked and questions his colleague but doesn't find any evidence. He suspects that whoever did it is from the police because only they know about the killer or the barcode left on the victim's hands. Later, the heroine leaves her house and bumps into John, who was running after his dog. She's happy to see him because he's a famous chef. John apologizes and takes her to the doctor to check on her. There, the doctor notices an old scar and learns from her that she had an accident 3 years ago. He offers to do an X-ray to make sure there are no fractures. After she leaves, he pulls out an old X-ray under the name Sion, compares them, and realizes she's the witness. He had been in charge of her case when she had the accident. Later, the heroine follows the dog's scent until she finds it and returns it to John. He invites her to dinner at his house, where the doctor is also present. While eating, the heroine notices the dog standing in front of a room, barking and refusing to stop. She asks what's inside, and John says it's a pantry where he stores food. Later, the heroine goes to the gym and discovers something important. She calls the hero, who arrives and arrests the victim's colleague. There, he learns that the colleague's brother is a police investigator. When confronted, the colleague confesses everything. It turns out he fought with the victim and killed him by mistake. Not knowing what to do, he called his brother for help. When the investigator found out, he took the body to the park and drew the barcode on his hand to mislead the police. The hero takes him to the station, and when his brother sees him, he breaks down crying because everything he did has been exposed. The investigators are shocked that the hero solved the case alone. The captain rewards him by granting access to the special case database. The hero is happy because this means he can access his sister's case. The heroine sees him and feels jealous, thinking there's something going on between him and the captain. The next day, John invites the hero to the opening of a restaurant by someone who used to work for him. The heroine happily goes with him. John tells her he'll personally introduce her to the chef, but after searching, he can't find him. When John goes up to the rooftop, he finds the chef hiding behind the door. When he enters, he sees the chef falling from the roof to his death. At the same time, the hero is downstairs with his friend, trying out his new car. They are shocked to see the chef fall. They see John looking down at them from the roof and mistake him for the murderer. When John tries to chase the killer, he gets locked on the roof while the real killer escapes. The hero and his friend go up and arrest John, believing he's guilty. John tries to tell them he's innocent, but they put handcuffs on him and take him to the station. The heroine notices the same scent on the victim's neck as on someone else and realizes he's the real killer. She calls the hero to tell him, but he refuses to believe her and insists on confronting John. At that time, the heroine goes to John's house to check on his dog. There, she finds a box with the scent of the murdered model. She guesses they are her belongings that he kept as a friend. But when she leaves, she runs into the doctor, who says John had asked him to take the box and keep it at his place, which he does, hiding it in his home. Later, the heroine smells the killer's scent again on a man riding a bicycle. She starts following him, but he realizes she's tailing him and chases her to harm her. The heroine hides and manages to send a message to the hero to rescue her. She keeps running until she hides in a room, but he finds her and attacks, almost about to hurt her when the hero arrives just in time to save her. The killer escapes before he can be caught. The hero checks on the heroine, who tells him she smelled plants on the killer and that he must own a flower shop. The hero tells her to stay away from police cases to avoid risking her life. He and the investigators go and arrest the killer, also discovering he was growing drugs in his shop. During questioning, the killer confesses that he murdered the chef because he asked him for the rest of the supplies for his customers, and the chef refused to supply him. Thus, the crime is pinned on him, and John is proven innocent. Later, the investigators discover that the doctor lived on an island for a year to treat his wife, who was sick. That year was the same one when the heroine's family was killed. The hero suspects the doctor killed the model since he was on the island when she disappeared. He investigates at the hospital and finds out the doctor was searching for his sister Sion's records. When he gets the records, he discovers it's the same name but not his sister. When he tells the captain, he realizes it's the name of the witness who saw the crime 3 years ago. The killer must have gone to the hospital to get rid of her, but unfortunately, it was the hero's sister who was there. The hero gets furious and goes to the doctor, fights with him, and shows him a picture of his sister, demanding he admit to killing her. But the doctor denies everything and says he doesn't know what he's talking about. The captain arrives and stops the hero, taking him to the station. She scolds him, tells him to control his temper, and warns him not to act without evidence again or he'll be removed from the case. Later, the heroine goes to John's house to return his dog. John thanks her for helping prove his innocence and offers her a job at his restaurant. She happily accepts. When she returns home, she finds the hero waiting with a gift, apologizing for not believing her about John's innocence. She's overjoyed, and they go out to dinner together. The hero finds himself thinking of his sister and tells the heroine she's beautiful, which makes her blush. But the hero falls asleep from exhaustion. The restaurant owner tells him he can't sleep there, so the heroine takes him and lets him rest on her lap. She gazes at him, clearly attracted to him. The hero stirs, holds her, and says he loves her. She's thrilled, but then realizes she was only dreaming. She wakes him up, and they leave before the rain starts. They ride the bus together so he can take her home. The next day, the heroine starts working at John's restaurant, happy with her new job. While throwing out the trash, she runs into the doctor, who recognizes her as the witness who saw the killer. It's revealed that he was the doctor who handled her case back then and had wanted to kill her to take her heart and transplant it into his wife. But unfortunately, he couldn't go through with it and decided instead to write her a letter of apology explaining everything. The nurse mistakenly put the letter into John's box along with some books. Later, the doctor went to John to retrieve his box, and John noticed his finger was injured. When John entered the house and opened the box, he found Mary's notebook inside, the one she wrote her diary in. This meant John was the one they were after, not the doctor. John had been keeping photos of all the crimes he committed in the box, but unfortunately, there was a drop of his blood on one of the photos, which meant he would realize the doctor had opened the box, seen the photos, and discovered the truth. John decides to follow him. The doctor goes to church, and John enters, sits next to him as he prays. The doctor gets scared and tries to run away, but John grabs his arm and drugs him. After that, the hero goes to the doctor's office and learns from the nurse that he was supposedly going to travel abroad. He thinks he wants to escape and calls his colleague to stop him from leaving, but then he discovers that the doctor didn't travel and is still in Korea. He goes to John's house and asks him about it, but John denies knowing where he is and says he hasn't seen him for 2 days. He told me he was traveling. He didn't? Or what? The hero is surprised that the doctor even told him about his travel time and that if he wanted to escape, he wouldn't have told anyone. He goes to the station and talks with the lieutenant, and when they think about it together, they discover that the barcodes are an order of crimes, and they conclude that the culprit must be someone strong and smart. At the same time, we see John preparing a barcode with the number of the new victim, and we all know it's the doctor. He has him drugged and put in the car. After that, the hero goes to the acting troupe and sees the director scolding the heroine and treating her badly. He learns from her colleague that the heroine decided to be just an extra and do chores for them so she wouldn't hold the hero back from his work. The hero is touched, goes to see her, takes her out, and they eat together. I've noticed they eat a lot in the drama. I don't know, food everywhere, and subscriptions are few. Subscribe to the channel, dear viewer. After that, he treats her to some ice cream to lift her spirits. He tells her that he'll act with her in the troupe and allow her to help with the cases. The heroine is happy and goes away cheerful. Then we see John, unfortunately, still with the doctor, keeping him in his car. We discover that he has a large truck he uses to move the victims' cars to the places he wants. That's why the police couldn't track the model's car when it went to the river. He even arranges with a substitute driver to take his car from the garage so his fellow cook sees it and can testify that he had an alibi in front of the police. The next day, the heroine goes to the restaurant and meets John. At first, he doesn't recognize her. But when he hears her voice, he realizes immediately and tells her that he has a disease that makes him unable to distinguish people's faces properly. That's why, dear viewer, he didn't recognize her even though he had seen her back when her family died. He tells her she's the only one who knows about his illness. After that, the heroine goes to the station to train with the hero on an acting scene, and when they go down to the garage, the hero is shocked to find the doctor's car with him dead inside. He collapses because that means the doctor wasn't the culprit after all. The rest of the detectives arrive, and they discover a barcode on his arm, confirming he wasn't the criminal. When the heroine looks at the body, she notices a strange smell she had never encountered before. Later, she goes to the restaurant and tells John what happened. He pretends to be affected, keeps drinking, acting all sorrowful. The hero goes and interrogates him, asking where he was at the time of the crime. Of course, John has secured himself. He brought his fellow cook to testify that he saw him in his car somewhere else. Then the hero talks with the nurse and learns that the doctor had a storage place where he kept his important belongings. He decides to go there to search it. When he arrives, John has already been there and taken a book containing crucial information about everything he had been doing for years. The hero sees John leaving and grows suspicious. He chases him, but unfortunately, John manages to stab him in the stomach. The hero collapses to the ground, bleeding, and the last thing he sees before fainting is John's back. After that, someone finds him on the ground, calls the police, and he's taken to the hospital. The heroine is worried sick, keeps calling him, and finally the lieutenant answers, telling her what happened. The heroine rushes to the hospital to check on him, but his condition is bad. He lost a lot of blood. She sees him lying on the bed and cries. The lieutenant comforts her and takes her outside so he can rest. The lieutenant spreads rumors that the hero saw the killer's face before fainting, and that when he wakes up, he'll arrest him. It looks like a plan to lure the killer. Word gets to John, and at night, someone sneaks into the hero's hospital room. It was all a trap, and they managed to catch him. But it turns out it was someone John had sent instead, mocking them for thinking he had come. The hero and the lieutenant realize the killer is clever and saw through their plan, but they guess he must be someone close to them and feels they are closing in. After that, the hero and heroine grow closer, especially after she was so worried about him. He leaves the hospital in a wheelchair, and when he tells her he heard her crying for him, she gets flustered, lets go of the wheelchair, and he almost crashes into something, but she saves him at the last second. That was a tense moment, dear viewer. Later, she cooks him his favorite meal at home. The hero eats and says it tastes good, and she realizes he's lying because he can't taste food at all, but he said it to comfort her. God bless a heart like that. Later, the lieutenant explains to the detectives the killer's profile from the food the hero mentioned. His height, weight, age in the 20s, strong, intelligent, cultured. One of their colleagues discovers how the killer moves the victims' cars by hiding them in a large truck and transporting them. They check surveillance cameras on the roads and indeed spot the killer's truck. After that, the hero goes to the doctor's funeral, feeling guilty for wrongly accusing him of killing his sister. Now he's more motivated than ever to find the killer and get revenge. At the same time, John is seen entering a secret room in his house and opening the book he took from the doctor's storage. With his cleverness, he pieces together the first letter of every word and realizes that what he did before was pointless, that the witness is still alive, and that the one he harmed was someone else with the same name. He goes back to the doctor's storage and takes some of the heroine's belongings from there. Later, the heroine is carrying food back home when she finds the hero waiting for her. She invites him in, and they eat together. While they're eating, she tells him she feels her memories are starting to come back, that her mother used to cook this dish for her when she was little. The hero takes her for a walk, holding her hand, trying to comfort her and assuring her her memories will come back with time. He takes her back home and decides to stay the night to reassure her. She goes to sleep in her room while he sleeps in a tent in the living room, sending her texts to comfort her until she falls asleep from exhaustion. The next day, the hero goes to the police and learns from his colleagues that they couldn't find the truck because there are many similar ones. He suggests a plan to lure the killer to them. He says the killer must know from the doctor that the witness is still alive and will look for her. Indeed, at that moment, John is trying to track down the witness, sending someone to the hospital to search her records. But the hero had already prepared for this, arranging with the hospital to leave a fake address. That night, they even set a trap outside the fake house. The girl pretending to be the witness comes out of the house. The killer appears, sees the hero, and a big chase ensues. But the killer manages to escape. Still, the hero discovers the killer injured himself. They take a sample of the blood to test his DNA and compare it to the suspects. The first suspect is John. The lieutenant goes to question him, asks about his parents who adopted him as a child, and learns that they died in a fire accident. She grows even more suspicious, especially when she sees his jacket with an injury on it. But he explains it was just a kitchen accident. The lieutenant goes back to the station and tells them he might be the killer they've been looking for. They get a warrant to search his house, and the hero goes with the detectives. They take a DNA sample from John, but when the results come back, they're not a match. They're shocked and feel frustrated. The hero has to apologize to John for the misunderstanding so he doesn't file a complaint. The poor, innocent John graciously accepts the apology and pretends he can't find his phone, so he borrows the hero's phone to call it and installs spyware on it to track his every move. Flashback to the night before. It turns out the hero had been chasing another thief who got injured during the pursuit. Coincidentally, John had been hiding in the same spot, completely unnoticed. Thinking quickly, John caused a minor injury to himself, just enough so that when the police ran a DNA test on the blood left at the scene, the results wouldn't match his. That way, he'd be ruled out as a suspect entirely. What a mind this man has. Truly a criminal mastermind in the most unexpected way. Later, the heroine wants to buy new clothes for a program she's filming with John. The hero goes with her, helps her choose dresses, but then asks her not to do the program with John. She refuses, saying it's a good opportunity for her to get noticed by directors. She leaves, and on the way, she bumps into the lieutenant by chance and goes with her to the station, saying she remembers the face of number 6 but doesn't know who she is. They sit together and start making a composite sketch on the computer. It gets late, so they decide to continue another day. After that, the heroine goes to film the program with John. While she's there, the hero sends her a message, and she goes to meet him outside the house. He asks her to be his girlfriend and promises her. What a shock, dear viewer. No build-up, no warning. She's stunned, embarrassed, standing there in her house clothes. But our guy is romantic, and he knows she looks beautiful. He pulls her by the hand, and they walk together. At that moment, the lieutenant is at the station, still drawing the picture. When she finishes, she discovers that it is the mother of the witness who died. The lieutenant manages to secretly take a photo of our heroine's ID card without her noticing, searches her details, and learns that the name of her father is actually the police officer who supposedly resigned. She deduces that he took the witness and wrote her down as his own daughter who had died. Later, the heroine is walking in the street and nearly gets into an accident, but the hero saves her at the last moment. When he makes sure she's okay, he finds her crying. She tells him she remembered the accident she caused before she lost her memory and that she was running away from someone. When he sees her trembling, he hugs her to comfort her. After that, the lieutenant asks the hero to find out where the resigned officer is because he changed his address and phone number and no one can reach him. On the same day, the hero is at a restaurant and sees the resigned officer talking with the security chief. The officer writes down his new address. The hero waits for them to leave, then sneaks a glance at the paper and manages to learn the address. He calls the lieutenant and gives it to her so she can go meet him. But of course John, who is spying on him, also learns the address. Unfortunately, John gets to the resigned officer first, sees him driving his car, throws himself in front of him, and insists on riding with him so they can go to the hospital. At the same time, the lieutenant arrives but doesn't see them. She texts the hero, saying she didn't find the resigned officer. The hero is forced to sneak into John's house to search. He enters the library, looks around, and manages to find hidden monitors behind the clothes. Just as he's about to turn them on, John arrives home with the heroine. The heroine notices the hero's scent and realizes he's hiding in the library. She deliberately breaks a glass to distract John so the hero can use the chance to escape the house. The hero then sits with her and explains why he entered the house, telling her he suspects John. He also shows her a picture of his sister, explaining that he wants to catch the criminal to avenge her. The heroine sympathizes with him, hugs him, and then goes home with him. There, they eat together, and she asks him about her program with John. She's happy, asking him what he liked most about her. She was waiting for him to say her cooking or her sense of humor, but he tells her it's the dress he bought that looked better than the food she made. She gets annoyed, makes him wash the dishes, and as she watches him, it's obvious she has feelings for him. She hugs him, and the hero tells her he loves her and wants to spend his life with her. But then she wakes up, realizing it was only a dream. When she goes to make it come true, she slips, falls on the floor, and looks ridiculously awkward. The next day, the hero goes to the station, only to be surprised to find the lieutenant waiting. She tells him she knows he entered John's house without permission and expels him from the special investigations team. The hero is shocked, begs her to forgive him, and says he only wants to help catch the killer for his sister's sake. But the lieutenant insists that she will catch the murderer herself. Meanwhile, the heroine is at John's house to film an episode. John asks her to get him a cookbook from his library. She goes up, and while searching, accidentally drops a book. Inside, she finds the doctor's apology letter written before his death. She's stunned when she sees her real and fake names written in it. Suddenly, John walks in and catches her reading the letter. She panics and tells him she was just reading a program script, quickly stuffing the letter into the book without realizing she hasn't hidden it properly. Later, the investigators gather with the lieutenant to ask why she expelled the hero, since he was the smartest one and had solved so many cases. The lieutenant explains that the hero's sister was one of the barcode victims, and he's chasing the killer for revenge. She did it to protect him. The investigators are shocked. The heroine goes to the hero to tell him about the letter she found, but finds him upset and drinking because he was expelled from the team. She feels sorry for him, can't bear to see him like that, and tries to comfort him. Then she decides to confront her father and learn the truth. He tells her her real name, explains that after her accident no one from her family came for her, so he decided to adopt her and change her name to his late daughter's. The heroine cries and thanks him for what he did, telling him she considers him her real father. The officer hugs her and says she will always be his daughter, no matter what. At night, the investigators meet with the hero and sympathize with him. The hero asks them for a favor, to help him access the information the lieutenant has. So he goes to the station, distracts her, and hangs out with her while secretly sneaking into her office. He opens her case file and sees a picture of the heroine's family. He realizes the heroine is the witness who saw the killer murder them, but then had her accident and lost her memory. The next day, he waits for the lieutenant outside the station and tells her he knows she pushed him away from the case because he loves the witness who supposedly died because of it. He decides to go meet the resigned officer who adopted the heroine, but on the way, he runs into John. When they both take out their phones, he realizes their devices ring at the same time and understands that John has been spying on him. He immediately does a factory reset on his phone to get rid of the tracker. Meanwhile, the heroine keeps texting him, but when he doesn't answer, she worries and goes to the station. There, she overhears the investigators saying that his sister was killed instead of her and that the killer is after her now. She is shocked by the revelation and leaves in a daze. When she gets home, she finds the hero waiting, saying it's her birthday. They go inside, celebrate, and spend a nice time together. The hero is happy. Afterward, they walk back together to her place, but when they arrive, she suddenly tells him she wants to break up. He's stunned, thinking she's joking, but she breaks his heart by saying she no longer loves him and doesn't want to see him again. She leaves him standing there. In reality, it's the opposite, but she hides her true feelings. The hero goes home, cries, and remembers all their moments together, unable to believe what just happened. The next day, the heroine goes to the station and talks to the lieutenant, asking her to bring the hero back to the team. She says she knows the truth now and is ready to try regaining her memories to help catch the killer. The lieutenant agrees, calls the hero, gives him his badge back, and tells him he's officially part of the team again. The hero is overjoyed and thanks her. Meanwhile, John takes the resigned officer, the heroine's adoptive father, to his home under the pretense of wanting to donate money to the victims' families. He drugs his coffee to reach the witness, his daughter, and sends a message from the officer's phone to the heroine, telling her to come pick him up because he's drunk. The heroine goes to the address, but John is waiting. Since he can't recognize faces, he asks her if she knows him to make her talk so he can identify her by voice. The heroine is terrified and can't answer. At the same time, the police trace her father's phone. The hero arrives just in time, cuts the power to the house, and helps the heroine escape. They hide behind the door, and when John follows them, the hero hits him on the head, knocking him unconscious. The hero wants to kill him to avenge his sister, but the heroine stops him, saying that would make him no better than John. She collapses, and the hero is forced to carry her to the hospital. The police arrive, ask John about the resigned officer, and John tells them the officer had been drinking with him, passed out from too much alcohol, and fell asleep. The police enter the house, call for the officer, and John deletes the message he had sent to the heroine. When the officer wakes up, he repeats John's story, saying he passed out after drinking. The police leave, and the officer walks away, but he secretly follows John and learns the address of his daughter. Later, the heroine regains consciousness, and the doctor assures them her condition is stable. She tells the hero about John's illness, that he can't recognize faces unless people speak. She realizes she had been silent, so John didn't know who she was. The hero takes her home, but when they arrive, she finds her room disturbed and a photo of her missing. She realizes John stole it, but still doesn't know which of her faces he recognizes. The hero now feels her life is in real danger after John discovered her address, so he decides to move her into his home to protect her. The next day, they go out together, and when a neighbor sees them in the elevator, she assumes they're married, saying they look good together. The heroine feels embarrassed. At the station, the hero and the investigators are convinced John is the serial killer, but they have no solid evidence. The heroine volunteers to help since she's the only one who can freely enter John's house. The hero refuses because he's worried about her, but the lieutenant reassures him, saying they'll guide her every step of the way. One of the detectives gives her a book with a hidden camera to place in John's house. They also give her a necklace with an alarm button to press if she senses danger or if John tries to restrain her. The heroine is nervous but encourages herself, determined to help catch the killer. She goes to his house to film the program. During the shoot, she sneaks away to the library, places the camera book, and even leaves her purse in the bathroom so she has an excuse to return later to retrieve the camera. John notices her absence and goes to look for her, but she pretends she was in the bathroom. After the filming ends, she leaves the house, nervous and afraid, then goes to meet the hero. The hero comforts her, telling her that once they catch the killer, he'll resign and return to the place where he lived with his sister. He asks her to come with him and promises he'll always love her, even if she tries to push him away. She's touched by his words, agrees, and he hugs her happily. Later, the police overhear John talking to someone, saying he'll send him the witness's photo and asking him to find her. They notice that John had drawn a special mark on the back of the photo, so he'd know if it was switched. The police alter a photo of the heroine, changing her appearance, and ask her to replace John's photo with theirs. She's scared, but the hero encourages her. She goes to the restaurant and uses the moment when John takes off his jacket while cooking to swap the photo in his wallet with the fake one. Afterward, she tells John she forgot her purse in the bathroom. John tells her he has to run an errand and gives her his house key so she can pick it up herself. John goes to meet the man he planned to give the photo to, but the man calls him and warns that the police are watching the area, telling him to be careful. John grows suspicious, checks his wallet, doesn't find the mark on the photo, and realizes the police swapped it with the heroine's help, since she was the only one he told about his face recognition disorder. John rushes back home, searches around, and eventually finds the book with the hidden camera. He watches it and realizes the hero is behind it, knowing now the heroine is in danger. He tries calling her, but she left her phone in the restaurant. The hero, realizing the danger, runs toward the restaurant to save her. But John sees the heroine coming down the elevator, even though she was supposed to be retrieving her purse from the bathroom. The heroine is shocked when she sees him and is unsettled by his sinister smirk, full of malice. John tells her to sit and have coffee with him. She's terrified, suspecting he may have drugged the coffee, and tries to avoid it, but he insists, and she's forced to sit down. But the hero arrives just in time, rings the bell, and John goes to open the door. When he enters, he tells the heroine to leave them alone. Afterward, John begins to suspect that the heroine came to take the camera, but the hero says she has nothing to do with it and goes to take the camera himself. John grabs him by the neck and warns him that if he enters his house again without permission, he will not leave alive. But our hero is strong too. He grabs John's hand and tells him, "I know your truth, I know you're the killer, and I'll kill you soon. If you want to live, then kill me first." Damn, what charisma! He said it just to prove he had figured him out and to provoke him into making a mistake. Then he lets go of him, leaves the house, and goes to meet the heroine. She tells him that the scent she had smelled on the doctor's corpse, the one she couldn't identify before, she smelled it again today in John's house. She asks the hero to tell the captain and the investigators about her ability, that she can see scents, so they'll let her help with the barcode cases and take her words about John seriously. He agrees, and they go to the station and confess everything. At first, they're skeptical and think she's joking, but they test her, and she passes. The heroine manages to identify the car of Mari and the murderer who killed the chef, just from their scent. She also shows them her true eye color, which shocks them with its strangeness. They're convinced even more when a criminal escapes from the station, but the heroine is able to trace his scent and tells them he's hiding in the trunk of a car. When they check, they are stunned to find she's right. After that, the team sits together and deduces that there must be a secret room in John's house, and they need to find it. They get a warrant to search John's place, under the pretext that he's breaking fire safety codes since he's a chef, or whatever excuse. The point is, they enter. The hero goes with them, searches everywhere, but fails to find the hidden room. John stands there mocking him. The hero tries to provoke him, saying, "Keep me waiting for 6 days, and on the 7th, like always, your life will be exposed and I'll get rid of you." But John ignores him and walks away. Afterward, the captain meets a woman who used to be the heroine's classmate in school. She asks her to gather things the heroine once liked, hoping they'll trigger her memories. Meanwhile, John is still searching for the witness. He also contacts one of her old classmates and learns she's alive. They plan a reunion party so she might recall her memories. John learns the time and place of the reunion, unaware that the heroine herself is the witness. The captain takes the heroine shopping and buys her a new outfit for the party. We discover she bought the same outfit for herself too, clearly planning something since she knows John will try to abduct her, but because of his condition, where he can't recognize faces, she intends to use that to protect the heroine and get closer to John. At the same time, the hero gathers information about John. He learns John was adopted by foreigners and lived in the US most of his life, studying medicine at Harvard University, the most prestigious in the world, so he was very intelligent. His specialty was anesthesia, But when the university discovered he was a twin and had psychopathic tendencies, he was expelled. He returned to Korea, worked as a chef, and pursued his favorite hobby, killing, under the cover of cooking. Then the day of the reunion comes. John, now knowing the place, disguises himself as an old man, gathers some homeless people, and treats them to food in a room next to the heroines. This way, he can listen in on her voice, since he can't recognize faces. The heroine arrives, sits with her old classmates, and chats. John strains his ears to hear their conversation. One of the classmates, talkative as ever, blurts out that she saw the heroine on a program with Chef John and asks why she changed her name. At that moment, John realizes that his assistant, who was with him all along, is actually the witness. Furious at having been deceived, he clenches with rage. After the party, the hero notices the homeless people and grows suspicious. He talks to them and learns someone strange treated them to lunch. John seizes the opportunity, drugs the captain, and kidnaps her, thinking it's the heroine since she was wearing the same clothes. That was actually the captain's plan all along. When the hero learns what happened, he rushes to John's house with his gun, determined to kill him to save the captain. He storms in, points his gun at John's head, and demands to know where she is. But John, the psycho, just laughs through blood dripping from his mouth and says he knows nothing about her. The investigators arrive just in time and stop the hero from killing him. The heroine, devastated, is there too. John looks at her and calls her by her real name. The hero keeps searching for the captain, but she appears on John's secret monitor, trapped in the hidden room, screaming for help. The room is soundproof, so he can't hear her or find her location. The hero and the investigators return to the station, shocked that despite constant police surveillance, John managed to take someone in and out without anyone noticing. Meanwhile, we see the captain taunting John, telling him he thinks he's clever but he kidnapped the wrong person. John laughs and says he doesn't care, killing is just a hobby for him, and now she'll die anyway. He gives her a notebook and tells her to write her life story in the next 6 days, because on the 7th day, her life will end. He shows her his twisted library, each book marked with a barcode, each belonging to a victim. 3 days later, John attends a book signing for an author. The heroine confronts him there, begging him to tell her where the captain is. John ignores her, signs a copy of the book, and hands it to her just to mock her. The hero arrives, furious, warning John that if he touches the captain, he'll regret it, then pulls the heroine away. Outside, the hero scolds her for putting herself in danger. She cries, telling him she doesn't want anyone else to die because of her like his sister did. Deeply moved, he hugs her to comfort her, promising to save the captain and never let John harm her. Back at John's house, he plays a game with the captain. He'll ask her a question. If she answers correctly, he'll extend her life by 3 hours. If she answers wrong, he'll reduce it by 3. He asks her to guess if he wants to kill the heroine. After thinking, she says no. John laughs and tells her she's wrong. He is waiting for the right chance to kill the heroine. She's lost 3 hours, and now her death is set for Friday at 7. Later, the heroine receives a message from an unknown number saying he is willing to trade her for the captain. He asks her to wait at a certain place. She realizes it's John, the psycho. She tells the police, and the investigators plan to use her as bait to locate the captain, since only 1 day remains before Friday. The exchange begins. John calls her and orders her to go to a locker and pick up a new phone, ensuring the police can't track the call. He makes her run through the streets, testing if the police are following her until she reaches the final location. Then he tells her to take a drugged handkerchief from under a chair and inhale it so she'll pass out, and he can take her. She hesitates, but obeys to save the captain. When she collapses, John approaches, but the police see him. Investigators rush to his car, plant a tracking device, and spray his vehicle with a scent so the heroine can trace his movements later. Suddenly, another detective bursts in, pretending to be reckless, shouting that there's a leak in their plan. John panics and flees without taking the heroine. That was their plan all along, to save her. She's taken by ambulance, and when she wakes from the drug, she joins the pursuit, following John's scent. Everything is going well until it suddenly rains. The downpour washes away the smell, and she breaks down crying, unable to trace him. Meanwhile, John returns to his secret lair. We learn the captain has only 2 hours left. She continues to provoke him, telling him he's sick and not as smart as he thinks, that the police will catch him, but John doesn't care. He tells her her time is almost up and that soon he'll carve her barcode on her skin. The hero and the investigators sit together in a restaurant. With just an hour left before the captain's death, the hero notices a child showing her grandmother how hidden stars appear when sprayed with water. This gives him an idea. He tells the team to spray fluorescent powder on the ground so the heroine can see John's scent again once the rain dries. It works. She sees the scent trail again, and they follow it all the way to the hidden entrance. Time runs out, and the captain has inhaled the poisonous gas, and just then the hero arrives, and immediately after, the captain collapses to the ground. The detective carries her out, and John is shocked when he sees the hero. He runs to take the victim's books because they're the evidence of the crimes, and before he escapes, the hero arrives and threatens him with the gun. John is surprised how the hero managed to arrive and know the location of the room. He keeps provoking him and reminding him of his sister's death. The hero gets furious and shoots him in the stomach. This lunatic tries to get out the door while bleeding, but the police are waiting at the entrance. They arrest him and put the handcuffs on his wrists at last. They take the bag with the books inside it to prove all the crimes he committed. Immediately, they take the captain in an ambulance to save her life and bring her to the hospital. Everyone is worried about her, but she regains consciousness from the fainting and is still alive. The first thing she asks about is the criminal. The hero reassures her that they caught him, and she thanks the hero because he arrived just in time. If it had been 1 more minute, she would have died. They leave her to rest, and afterward, they return home. While they're eating, the hero discovers that his sense of taste has returned after catching the criminal, and that he has been cured once he felt justice was restored. The heroine is surprised and happy that at last, he'll be able to taste the food she cooks. When she sleeps, she dreams about her family and the day she came back from school. She wakes up frightened and realizes her memories have returned. She keeps crying, and the hero comforts her to calm her down. The next day at the station, the psycho refuses to confess his crimes. The hero goes in to interrogate him, bringing fake books and burning them in front of him. The psycho breaks down and starts screaming and crying like a madman. He begs him to stop what he's doing and admits everything. The captain enters to take his statement. After that, the hero returns home and gives the heroine the book her mother wrote before she passed away. The heroine reads it and finds that her mother wrote down her memories with her daughter, the things she loved, and wrote that her daughter was the most precious thing to her, and she wished her a happy life even if that would be after her death. The heroine is deeply affected by her mother's words and keeps crying. The hero gets angry and goes to the station, asking to sit with the psycho. He demands the psycho apologize to his sister and to his family, but the psycho refuses and provokes him. The hero loses his temper and keeps beating him. The captain comes in, and they manage to stop him. They take the lunatic away to prison, but he tells the hero that this is not the end, and they will meet again and he will finish him. Afterward, the team celebrates together because the case has been solved, and the captain thanks them for their efforts. The hero goes to buy a wedding ring to give to the heroine, and he takes her to the place where he used to work as a diver. He surprises her at the pier, and he had planned to give her a beautiful marriage proposal. But when he opens the car trunk, the balloons fly away, and the plan is ruined. So he says, "Fine, I'll kneel on my knees," and proposes like that. But while they're walking, they see another guy kneeling before his girlfriend at the fountain. The heroine tells the hero that she hates these cheesy gestures. The hero is shocked and decides to come up with something else entirely. He hides the ring in the sand so that when they walk, he can give it to her in surprise. She is astonished, but since the ring is small, it really gets lost in the sand. He keeps searching but can't find it. At night, he takes her to a colorful garden and uses a perfume to write in the air that he loves her and wants to marry her. With her special ability, she can see it. She agrees, pulls out the ring he lost, and he puts it on her finger and hugs her, happy that they are finally together. At night, the heroine dreams that the criminal has escaped and was stabbing her lover. She wakes up frightened, but the next day, they really see the news on TV. The car transporting John to prison fell into the sea. The psycho and others are missing, and after 5 days of searching, his body is not found. The hero worries, but he gets promoted, and he takes photos with the special investigations team after finishing their mission. Each one goes back to their normal life. The captain resigns and becomes a doctor in criminal law. Our hero and heroine get engaged and plan to marry after a month, preparing the wedding video together in their new apartment. The wedding day arrives. The detectives, the captain, and the heroine's colleague attend. Everyone is happy and joyful, but the happiness doesn't last. The groom enters from his aisle, and the bride is supposed to appear from the other, but shockingly, she doesn't appear. They keep calling for her, but she doesn't answer. At that moment, the heroine is shocked when she smells the psycho entering her room, congratulating her on her marriage. When the captain gets worried, she goes in to check on her but doesn't find her. Everyone realizes she has disappeared. The heroine's friend is found drugged, but the heroine herself has no trace. They review the security cameras with the detectives and see the psycho laughing at the camera. They realize the kidnapper took her away in an ambulance. We see the criminal switching the ambulance for another car. The heroine realizes he has a bomb and wants to blow up the car with the hero. She deliberately drops her ring and rubs it with the smell of the bombs so the hero can figure out the psycho's plan. The hero and detectives trace the ambulance, but they find it empty. The hero finds the wedding ring and realizes it was from the heroine. Then he receives a call from an unknown number telling him to come to his old house alone, saying, "Unfortunately, you won't find your lover." But the captain focuses on the heroine and understands what's happening. The hero goes to the address and receives a photo as the psycho asked, showing his lover tied up. The heroine keeps nodding her head to signal him to understand that the psycho wants to escape because he placed a bomb in the house and wants to blow it up. At that moment, the captain manages to analyze the heroine's ring and finds traces of explosives, realizing the psycho's plan. When the time comes for the bomb to explode, the psycho sees the heroine in the house and detonates the bomb. He tricks her, telling her that her lover is dead, and now it's her turn. He approaches to drug her and kill her, but suddenly, the hero arrives, shoots him, and tries to free the heroine. The psycho stabs him in the stomach with a knife and runs away. The hero chases him onto the rooftop. They fight, and the hero manages to defeat him, throwing him to the ground. The hero holds a metal rod to strike him, but the psycho begs him not to kill him, saying he will surrender himself. He pretends to let the hero put the handcuffs on him, acting submissive, then suddenly throws something in the hero's face and lunges at him, trying to throw him off the rooftop. But the hero dodges at the last second, and the psycho is the one who falls to his death. And here, dear viewer, we can finally say we truly got rid of him this time. The captain and detectives arrive, rescue the heroine, and confirm the criminal's death. It turns out that when the hero saw his lover in the video, he figured out her location, and the captain and police built a fake bomb to trap the criminal. After that, the hero and heroine return to their apartment and begin furnishing it, now that finally their enemy is gone and the world is safe. They sign the marriage contract with the captain as witness since she is close to them. They prepare to go on their honeymoon the next day. But if you think life is simple, you're wrong. Another crime happens, and the detectives ask the heroine to help. She goes to the crime scene and smells seafood. They find a missing button. When they go to the restaurant, they see an old woman and notice a button missing from her clothes. They suspect she killed the victim because she didn't pay the restaurant rent. After that, our heroes prepare at last to go on their honeymoon and get in their car, but the police stop them again on the road. When they get out, they find the detectives telling the heroine that the restaurant owner's son confessed to killing the victim, and they ask her to help them find out the truth. The hero investigates with them, and the heroine notices the son's shoes and smells the same scent on another pair. When they question him, they find that another boy was living with them and wore his shoes. When they search his room, they find a bag of money and gold he had stolen. It turns out he was the real killer they were looking for. When the mother saw this, she thought her son had killed for rent money and wanted to protect him, so she pretended it was her. When her innocence was proven, she thanked the heroine. And finally, the detectives kept chasing after our heroes to help them solve cases. They never went on their honeymoon. Instead, they brought a bicycle with balloons and celebrated by the sea. They confessed their love to each other and agreed to turn off their phones so the detectives couldn't reach them. But when they learned that the captain had returned to work and built a special investigation team, they changed their minds and decided to return to the station and continue their lives as investigators. And that's how the beautiful series ends, dear viewer. Another story has ended, but the mystery continues. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next thrilling chapter.